Thanks for joining us for a special bonus live episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're live on our X channel and YouTube channel, X page and our YouTube channel, to go over our final, mock draft for the 2025 NFL draft. Myself, Byron, and Joe, when Joe joins us, he's just a little bit tied up at the minute. We'll take turns being one of the teams and drafting through the first round, and we'll see kind of how it plays out. We won't be negotiating trades or anything like that because that'll be, it's hopefully only going to be an hour. This, Byron, not like the 6 hours it'll actually be on Thursday night. So
I've just been working on impression for the last 2 days, so that's gone out the window.
Yeah, I mean, just in case you didn't catch our GM charade, fictional trades and GM charades episode from a couple of weeks ago or last week, go check it out. Byron does some excellent impersonations of various NFL GMs, as does Joe, to be fair. It was only me that refused to do it. Go check that out. We've just got a couple of minutes that we're just going to talk through some things, I guess, and some things to promote as well. First, we're going to have our live, I don't know what to call it, watch along or whatever, but it's our third annual NFL Live Draft Bonanza, I guess. That's what it's called.
It is a bonanza.
It is a bonanza. So that'll be me, Byron, and Joe, with some special guests hopefully dropping in throughout the evening, reacting to their team's picks. We'll just kind of be giving live reaction, betting updates, all that jazz. We'll have our own little mock draft competition, all that jazz on through the first round. So that'll start about 15 minutes before the main program starts. So that'll be 12:45 a.m. UK time, 7:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll be with you to the bitter end. And this time I haven't got the day off work like I usually have the day after. So, it's going to be fun. And I'm not going to moan about it. I suppose, do you want to cover any last bits of news that have been leading up this week? Obviously, we recorded an episode a couple of days ago, but any sort of big news or anything in the last couple of days? I think we're hearing that the Browns and especially Giants are fielding calls. People wanting to trade up for the number 2 and number 3 picks, respectively. Any thoughts on who that might be?
I mean, I dare say if I'm meant to be in the top 10, I'm picking up the phone because I think there's a big drop-off after 3. I can kind of see if you're going to get a haul, a real franchise-changing haul of picks, I can understand it for both teams, really. Is Travis Hunter going to make the Browns a playoff team? Probably not. Not to denigrate Travis Hunter, who's a once-in-a-generation prospect, for what he's done on both sides of the ball. But there's only so much one man can do. Cleveland are, no quarterback. Is Stefanski fighting for his job this year after being burdened with Deshaun Watson? Want to get more picks, maybe go with a Kirk Cousins for the year and then take a buttload of picks and try and build a team around that. The Giants, are going to almost certainly pick Abdul Carter if they pick at 3. And, is that the best team building strategy? They've already got Thibodeau, they've already got Brian Burns, they've got Dexter Lawrence. Is another pass rusher exactly what they need? No, probably not. But you don't turn him down to take a, lesser player at a different position. You take the best player available, but, if you can drop to, 8 with the Panthers, who would kill you to get Abdul Carter, I think. Would that make sense and get, future picks in there? Maybe. I don't really see it, truthfully. I think it's kind of just noise at this stage of the drafting season. But I can understand a little. I just don't think it'll happen. I think we're very much in the weeds. The Titans have come out and said they're picking at number 1. They haven't said who they're picking at number 1, but we all know it's Cam Ward. I just wonder if it's kind of a late thing to maybe draw a little more interest in the early part of the draft. I don't think either team is going to trade out at this point, though.
Yeah, I feel like potentially maybe a move would have been made earlier. I think the Browns Giants are going to stay. I think after that it becomes interesting. Some of those teams in the remainder of the top 10 could move around, or we could see some trade. Actually, depending kind of how the Patriots see it going, can they get kind of the best of both worlds, where they get who they were going to take anyway, plus some extra capital potentially? They've got a lot of needs. What do the Raiders do? What, at that point, Panthers and Saints also very interesting. So yeah, lots of different avenues, and I think I'm expecting a move in that top third that kind of blows it open a little bit. Where it just kind of all these mocks that we're about to do. Plus, everyone's like just get absolutely shredded to pieces because of one kind of move that takes place and puts it through. Anything else that I've missed in the last couple of days? Go check out our betting preview. We recorded that, like I say, a couple of days ago. It was out this morning. That's got all our best bets. There's a lot of them, particularly from Byron, and you'll be able to see all that detail on our socials as well. Make sure you're following at GTW_GTC over on X, where we are right now for the most part. TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. I think that's the lot, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think there's been much in the way of news. A bit of like speculation, I guess. We've had the Jags seem to be the most interesting team, I would dare say, in the early first. Got a lot of talk that they're going to go offensive weapon at 5. And Ted McMillan's odds have dropped from 50 to 1 to, I think the shortest is about plus 350 now. You can still get around. I actually put another bet on this morning on him to be a top 5 pick at plus 750 on FanDuel, who were offering him plus 450, I believe, to be the number 5 pick, but plus 750 to go in the top 5. So always have a look at what odds you can get on the actual site itself rather than just going for the direct market, because, that's a bump in value for the exact same bet. It seems like they're really getting onto McMillan, and I think that's the most interesting market currently as well. We've got kind of everybody is plus money, so you've got Ashton Genty, Jalen Walker, Ted McMillan, Mason Graham, all in play, it feels like, for the Jags at 5, which, should be fascinating to see who they end up going with if they end up picking there. Because, I fully agree. I think from 4 downwards, unless you want to come up for Ashton Genty, I think everybody's kind of happy to trade down.
Yeah.
I think we've said it a lot. It's very flat once you get past that top 3. And a little bit of pick your poison and who do you fancy. A name I've seen a lot of hype for in recent days. And, you never quite know how much it's smoke, how much it's legitimate. But Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle, and he's now as short as plus 350 to be the second all lineman off the board. Will Campbell is strong favourite to be the first one. Amon Membu is strong favourite to be the second one, but you could get about 650. I think it was even higher about a week ago for Kelvin Banks to be the second all lineman off the board. But now as short as plus 350. Being linked with New Orleans, the Jets, even Carolina. So I don't think I'd be stunned to see him go that early. Whereas if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd have been pretty surprised. So
I feel like where the shenanigans could begin, like around that Patriots Jags, because if there's somebody who's thinking Raiders are dialed in on Ashton Genty at 6, they're probably not going to move up. No. They probably feel they don't need to. But if the Patriots suddenly start fielding calls, the Jags maybe that someone could leap, that's where I think maybe like the Bears could potentially be aggressive.
Yeah.
What fit that would be. Genty with obviously the new head coach, with the new O-line. Ben Johnson would love kind of that.
Yeah.
Stud running back. I think that's one of the pieces that's missing in Chicago. That, would they be going, well, actually, we can jump up 5. It might not cost us that much. And we can kind of snipe Genty from the Raiders sort of position. Yeah. So I feel that's where it could start getting a little bit tasty.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Genty's currently plus 425 to go to 10 at the Bears. Tyler Warren plus 370 to go to the Bears as well. A lot of, around that price. Kelvin Banks, Colston Loveland, all shorter than plus 700. So, that's kind of how it should be as well. Like, once you get to pick 10, we don't really know who's going to be available, who's going to have gone already. Going to be a wild one. And I think if, as the recent smoke has been on the Jags, go in offensive weapon, whether that's Genty, whether that's Ted McMillan, maybe Tyler Warren. I doubt it, but maybe. Where does Mason Graham fall?
Yeah, and he could then become the casualty.
Mm-hmm.
in all of that. And I hope he doesn't, because I've got him as under 5.5.
Yeah.
To be clear.
Not much wiggle room.
There is not much wiggle room. So, yeah, hopefully that's not the case. But, yeah, he could become the casualty. And somebody has to in that scenario where that just carries on falling for that to happen. Yeah, interesting. But we'll get into it and play it out, I guess, in a moment or two. There was one bit of news, actually. I would say we talked about it a little bit off air. More just not even UK, Ireland-related news.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels are coming to play the Aer Lingus College Football Classic next year. What a great get.
Yeah, wild. I kind of think maybe that they weren't going to be coming over without Bill Belichick, right? It's a bigger get now than it was a year ago. So very cool. Where are they playing? In Dublin, right?
Yeah, so it's the Aviva Stadium, the old Lansdowne Road in Dublin, yeah.
Very cool. Who are they playing? Do we know yet?
Yes, the TCU Horned Frogs.
What an incredible name. Is that Texas Christian University?
It is, yes. Yeah.
And, you know, they had the plague of frogs at some point. I'm not a huge Bible boy, I will say, but yeah, I remember there was a plague of frogs, and now you get the horned frogs. So,
particular favourite of mine, quarterback Max Duggan, that came out of TCU, sadly. Didn't really work out.
Oh, yeah, he was your boy, wasn't he? Where did he go?
Yeah.
Chargers?
Yes. Yeah. As did Quentin Johnson, and that hasn't really worked out either. Excellent. Joe, we've just been holding on there. You have joined us. Excellent. Thank you. So we are pretty much just going to jump straight into it, if that's all right.
Yes,
good teams and great teams about draft. So we're just going to bounce around, each of us taking a pick, and then we're going to play it through. See how it all works out. Very excited to do our final one. And thanks for anybody that's watching currently. I think we've got a few on X watching. Feel free to comment. Let us know what you think. Byron, you've got the honour of kicking us off, and you are going to be the Tennessee Titans with the number 1 pick. So the good teams win, great teams cover. Mock Draft Live is open. Who are the Tennessee Titans selecting, Byron?
Yeah. Fairly obvious one here. Let's not muck around. We're going Cam Ward. We're going quarterback. It's relatively inevitable. They've already essentially came out and said that's what they're doing. This is going to be what we would do draft. But, I still think it's the right decision. And I think it's just an absolute no-brainer. They had no interest in any quarterbacks in free agency. They have no quarterbacks on the roster that don't drink mayonnaise. They're going Cam Ward, and I think it's the right decision. I think Travis Hunter's a better player, but you need a quarterback in the NFL. So Cam Ward is the pick for the Tennessee Titans.
Makes sense. Cam Ward, quarterback out of Florida. Joe, you've got the Cleveland Browns on the clock at 2.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this. I played on Abdul Carter a few weeks ago, but more and more think about, cause like they do say, you build a defense from the front back. But it sounds like they're going to play more on offense. So I'm going to go Travis Hunter. I think he is the best player on the board. I think they're going to play him more as a wide receiver, but having that dual threat. It could be one of them where, we look, 5 years down the road and be like, obviously you go Travis Hunter. He is the best player in the draft. But yeah, I think it was a coin toss. But yeah, I'm going to go Travis Hunter.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree with you. I've waxed lyrical about him. Yeah, he is the best player in the draft for me. And there's a few great ones. But yeah, for me, by a mile, Heisman winner. Had his jersey retired recently as well. We talked about that the other day. So Travis Hunter. And yeah, I think he's going to play both ways a bit more than people seem to think as well. Just think he's a freak who's going to do it. Me next for the New York Giants. Lots of needs for the Giants. Quarterback is a big need. So, we could, Hunter's pal, Shedeur Sanders, maybe could have gone here. Maybe would have done a few weeks ago. But I'm going to take the next best player in the draft. I'm going to take Abdul Carter to load that front for the Giants. The edge rusher out of Penn State. Abdul Carter's also going to be an absolute beast. And, can this help them get the best out of Thibodeau as well? Carter's going to require a lot of attention, potentially need a lot of double teaming. So yeah, I'm going to take Abdul Carter for the.
Or is he going to do? Is he going to do the opposite, where they trade him this week
might get him out of Thibodeau. Yeah, man, get the best out of him. Just get him out. And I mean, to be fair, if the asking price is like a 4th round pick, I would take a gamble on him. Take a 1-year rental, and you've got a franchise tag if he turns out to be great. And Dallas have wasted a 4th round pick on a lot worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
2 years in a row, Jonathan Mingo and Trey Lance. So yeah, I would totally take a swing if that's the price. Yeah, and it's me now up on the clock for the New England Patriots. I don't have a dog. He's out on the balcony, so I don't have a dog to make my pick like Bill Belichick does. But common conception is Will Campbell here, but I'm going to go Armand Membu. I think he's the best tackle in the draft. I think their dilemma is, can Membu move to left tackle, or is Will Campbell got to be big enough to play tackle? If Will Campbell only ends up being a guard, I think it's wild to pick him at 4, truthfully. If Membu only ends up being a right tackle, that's still probably a bit of a reach at 4, but I'd rather have a good right tackle than a good left guard. So, yeah, I think Membu is the best tackle in the draft, so I'm going to go Armand Membu out of Missouri. Enjoy.
Nice. So next for the Jags, I think this is where for the Patriots, it is a fun one where they will actually go. I think if they do go Membu in the draft, it would, certainly ruin a lot of people's mock drafts. I know there's a lot of talk about Gentry, but I feel like that's just talk where people just got bored of seeing the same player over and over again, and they're trying to do something new. So I'm going to go with who basically everyone's picked. I think it's the right choice for this team. I think they just need to get better studs, get some and beef up that defensive line. I'm going to go Mason Graham, defensive tackle to the Jaguars, and Paul will be happy with winning his bet. Actually
mentioned that earlier. I think that is the sensible play for the Jaguars. I'm just worried they might have the temptation of just doing that. Gentry, McMillan, let's get a star. Liam Cohen, sort of. Let's just. Yeah, that's my worry for the Jags. I think that'd be a big mistake. I am going to take. So I think in this spot, the Raiders. If the Raiders have got in a position where they've got the choice of, potentially their best wide receiver outside Hunter and running back, they're in a great spot. Could even be potential for trading down. But I'm going to give them. I'm going to trade Ashton Gentry for the Raiders. I think it's more.
You're going to draft Ashton Gentry. You're not going to trade him.
Sorry, I meant that the Raiders could potentially trade down. Is what I was meaning. I will. I mean, they probably will end up trading him. I'll draft Ashton Gentry for the Raiders. Bit of a need running back, and I know maybe it is a bit of a luxury pick. They've got a lot of other needs and holds. Wide receiver's a big one, and that's why maybe Ted McMillan could fit and could be a good one, good fit for the Raiders. But yeah, I'm going to take Gentry. Maybe a bit, hard nosed football, back to basics for the silver and black.
When you think of Raiders, new coach, new QB, new superstar, they just changed their outlook to what it was last year going into with Gardner Minshew and everything going on. So that's a great pick.
Yeah, excellent. So over back to you, Byron, with the New York Jets at 7.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a match that I haven't seen made very often, but I think one that is needed there. They've got Garrett Wilson already in place. I see Tyler Warren mocked there an awful lot. I don't see it. I think that's very rich for a tight end who, to me, I prefer Colston Loveland anyway. I think Warren needs to be schemed. And I mean, it's good that he does get scheme touches, but I want a pure tight end. I'm going to take Ted McMillan at 7. Big dog wide receiver. Justin Fields can sling the ball deep. Got Garrett Wilson for all his premium targets. But yeah, I think you get a good wide receiver beat a good tight end. So let's go Ted McMillan.
Interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
I had a few ways to go, and I thought, if I don't like Will Campbell to the Patriots, I'm not sure I like him to the Jets either because they need a tackle, not a guard. Felt a bit rich for Kelvin Banks, and there's a few edges in play, but yeah, I'm going to go Ted McMillan, who I think is a clear need for them.
I think that's a big trade spot. If the board falls like that, that's a huge trade out spot, I think, for the Jets, because I just think kind of their plans would have just got blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. I see that. All right, so the Carolina Panthers are next. Obviously, one of the fans of Keg went Jalen Walker, which felt like a lot of people went that way, but I might go a bit different. Was it go Jalen Walker? You know what? I'm going to stick with that. I was going to go edge, but then when I was looking at the other edges, like, I go, Michael Williams, Mike Green, I think it could be a bit of a reach to go that early. So, no, you know what? I'm going to go different. I'm going to go Jihad Campbell. Jihad Campbell, I think he might be, more and more, look at this, I think he could be that kind of linebacker they want. And yeah, I'm going Jihad Campbell, linebacker to the Panthers.
Indecision in the war room.
It is tough. And this next one for me here for the Saints is tough. I think this could be a spot for Shadir. Could it be a spot for Jackson Dart? Seems a bit rich for me. I'm going to go something I've not really seen at all for the Saints. But again, if this board goes, I think they're in a position where they can take one of the top in the position. And they do need help there, in my opinion, in the secondary. I'm going to give them Jahdae Barron out of Texas.
You love Jahdae Barron?
I do love Jahdae Barron. I just think in this spot, I think if the Saints go at 9, I think they're a bit stuck. So it's like shoehorning Shadir Sanders here doesn't feel right. Like, this could be one where if they are keen on one of those two quarterbacks, look at the teams that are there around you. Maybe we can go back half a dozen spots, maybe even more, and I can go get. Maybe you just want to be ahead of the Steelers. Maybe at that point, try and be a few picks ahead of them, and not risk the jump and go. Okay, we can maybe end up taking someone a bit later and get a bit more capital because they do have a lot of needs. They're not going to get a lot, but yeah, maybe that's the move. I feel it's just too rich there. And I think Jahdae Barron, with the versatility, flexibility that he offers, can really help shore up that secondary for the Saints.
Love it, yeah. Been an interesting top 10. And I believe it is my Chicago Bears in location, if nothing else. No Ashton Genty, who I think is our top priority here. But unfortunately, we can't trade up. We have to watch him go and wreck shop with Gino in Vegas. I think what we've got available here, we could again go Will Campbell, but I think he's going to go inside to guard. It's very tempting still to go Will Campbell, but I'm going to go Michael Williams, edge, out of Georgia. By all accounts, coaches love him. Very, very professional. Does exactly what you want him to do on and off the field. Bears need an edge. There was a thought of Jalen Walker as well, who can rush, but I don't want to say they're totally set at linebacker, but I think they're more set at linebacker than pure edge. So I'm going to go Michael Williams. And yeah, Will Campbell and Jalen Walker falling out of the top 10 is not really what I envisioned, but tough to see where they should have squeezed in, really.
Yeah,
you're San Francisco.
Oh. Yeah. You know what? Michael Williams was one that I was thinking about, same as James Pierce Jr., but because he's still on the board, I thought he may have gone to the Bears, so I would be very happy if this happens in, actually in the draft. I'm going to take Jalen Walker, linebacker. Obviously, they've just lost Greenlaw.
Yeah.
They need some edge rush, and I think having that ability to rush as well will certainly help them get the best player on the board on defensive wise. So yeah, I think this is the 49ers would be very happy. They haven't really got that second linebacker, and having him and Warner on there, I think some of the D tackles are a bit of a reach here. I think they can still get some decent ones in the second round, or with all their draft picks, they can certainly trade up for one of them or for one of the edges as well. I think a few of the edges, it might go on a run in the 20s, but I think there's not too much in them, so they might be able to trade back up to 32, 31, get one of them players, or even wait in the second round. I think they can get that tackle and edge there. But Jalen Walker, I think he's also it's a coin toss between him and Jihad Campbell. And if Jihad Campbell was still there, may have gone that way as well. just make that defense better as a whole.
Excellent. That moves us on. I'm picking for the Cowboys. If this falls on Thursday, I'd love it. Give me Will Campbell. Yeah, at 12. This fell this way in our fans on the clock draft as well. I think, the Cowboys, and while it says there, obviously, tackle, I fully would expect him to play guard. Cowboys have, lost Zach Martin to retirement and, a lot of injury and slowing down a bit. And Will Campbell can be an incredible guard at the NFL level. And I think at this point, by far and away, is the best player on the board remaining. Probably has been for a little while. Will Campbell to the Cowboys for me. And
I do like how both of our teams have got the players who have slipped out the top 10. The teams who we support. Some people may say, "Is that how we fixed it for that to happen?" But that's happened twice for Will Campbell to the Cowboys. It'd be very nice if that happened.
Yeah, would love it. There's a lot of needs for the Cowboys as well. They probably arguably need a second wide receiver to go opposite CD Lamb. So do they reach and maybe take Golden? Egbuka could be a shout if the Cowboys really do like him. I think it's a bit of a reach, but
I think the problem I love Egbuka, but I think the problem is it's too much overlap with CD Lamb.
Yeah,
Golden I think is a very different threat, but I do not want to take Matthew Golden at 12.
No, yeah,
I'd rather maybe even take Luther Burden at 12, and I don't want Luther Burden either. So, I just think Golden is waiting to bust. Truthfully, I hope I'm wrong because I don't wish bad on any of these players coming out, but 12 is very, very rich for a deep threat.
Gave that stat the other day about those receivers not being able to not having a 500-yard receiving season in the NFL off the back of not having a 1,000-yard one in college. So yeah, not great. There's other considerations there, like if Byron dropped and was there, definitely. And maybe even Will Johnson as a corner, because I still think they do need secondary help as well. But yeah, that's the Cowboys. Over to the Miami Dolphins with you, Byron.
Yeah. Again, said it a few times recently with the Dolphins, could do anything, I think, other than running back. And thankfully, Ashton Jennings off the board, so we don't have to worry about taking a running back here. I'm going to go what I think is their biggest position of need. And maybe a little bit of a reach on positional value, but kind of mentioned him as someone who's been moving up boards. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks, tackle. Positional value's there. Need is there. Like I said, the need is kind of there for everybody on Miami. I wouldn't be stunned if they take a day 2 quarterback. I wouldn't be stunned if they took a Matthew Golden here. But I'm going to go Will Johnson as well. Safeties, they need everything. It feels like that sneaky, terrible roster. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks. I think it's a huge position of need. I think he's a day 1 starter at tackle. Kelvin Banks.
Yeah, that's our first player who wasn't on Fans of the Clock.
He didn't go at all?
No.
I don't believe so.
Interesting.
Oh, no, he did pick 32.
Oh, did he go right at the end?
Went to the Eagles at pick 32 in our Fans on the Clock.
Oh, yeah.
Which is available now. Both parts. Available on our YouTube and Spotify, Apple, Podbean, Podcast, Overcast. Go listen to it anyway and watch it.
You get to see 30 different people make picks. Paul make 2.
And yeah, some great people that joined us as well.
Yeah, it was a great bunch.
Yeah. Indianapolis Colts. Joe.
It's always like you don't always want to go chalk, but I think if this is how it worked out, I think I would. When we talked about the Fans of the Clock, I would like them to go on defense, but I think with this player there, you've got. We had the joke about the Saints going this player because he can do it all, including quarterbacking. So, and the Colts might need it as well. They're on Taysom Hill, so I'm going to go Tyler Warren, tight end. I think he's going to help out. I agree with Byron. I think they have to scheme him up, and I think if Anthony Richardson plays, which I think he will, and with their, they haven't got great weapons, and having that person who becomes the focus of the offense, who can do a bit of everything, I think it can help this Colts team out. I know it's a bit of a luxury pick, but I think he could be an amazing player, and for this Colts team, and with that staff as well, I think it's the right staff at the Colts to get the best out of him as well. So I think it's a good fit for the Colts to get Tyler Warren at 14, which I think's round about where I think he'll go in that mid range.
Excellent. On to the Atlanta Falcons. Again, needs great. I think edge D line. They're sick of hearing that they need an edge, but I'm going to give them a first round one here. Torn between two for them, but I'm going to give them Mike Green. Yeah, I know there's the off the field concerns, but just in this mock draft here, I think you'll probably go see. It feels like maybe one that Atlanta Falcons might take, like slightly projecty. But yeah, he's got obviously the elite pass rush grades, run defense ability. Again, always that thing about it wasn't Marshall. So got to take consideration. But Mike Green, edge for the Falcons, and hopefully that will quell the noise for them on they need pass rush. Up to the Cardinals, Byron, at 16.
Yeah, interesting one again. I think they need a lot on that defense. Tempted by Shamar Stewart edge, but I think I'm going to go Derek Harmon, D tackle, show off that inside, make them a bit harder to run on, bolster them up the middle there. And that brings us to someone else who needs a lot of defensive help, the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe.
Yeah.
In the graphics.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So I just go wide receiver just to throw it all out, just to go for the second one. No, so yes, I think I'm going to go defense. So then it's I need a lot done there. Will Johnson's still there, but I am worried that like a lot of people that he hasn't done the 40 at all. And that was one of the biggest concerns. And, why are you not doing that? It's a strange one. So you can go edge. You got Pierce. I was hoping Mike Green. I think that's a perfect fit for them. So Paul got in there and stole them for the Falcons. So I'm actually going to beef up. I'm going to get him a big lad, and I'm going to go Walter Nolan, defensive tackle. I think they need help across the board. And I know they need another edge with Hendrickson, but I think they also need help everywhere. So I think he can be a good run stuffer and help that defense out. So I'm going to go Walter Nolan.
Excellent. Yeah, a lot needed for the Bengals, as mentioned. Seahawks 18 next. That's me. And yeah, a lot of options here for the Seattle Seahawks. Again, a lot of needs. O-line, huge need, I think. Wide receiver 2 in the long run, maybe. Even though you've got Cooper Kupp and MVS that have come in, but do you get someone youthful in there? Maybe some help in the secondary. A lot needed for them. Given where they are at 18 and given how the board's gone, I'm going to give them that secondary support. I am going to give them Will Johnson.
You're not worried about what I've just said? Oh no.
No, I think there is. I think there is a concern, but I still think he's going to go, middle third of that first round. I think. I think he's got more than enough in there. I don't think it's going to necessarily, drive a huge drop for him.
Yeah, and I think the Seahawks as well. They do like them long cornerbacks. I know it's a different regime, but it's another defensive regime. So, yeah, I can see it happening.
I just hope he can play guard or tackle. Maybe Travis Hunter's not the only two-way player going to be in the draft.
And it's just tough at that point because, like, where they are, what's left on the board, and what they need, like,
it's a reach.
Yeah, I think so. It will be. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. My favorite fit in this entire draft, I think, is the Bucks taking Jihad Campbell. So that is well and truly gone. Thanks, Joe. That is well dead. I do think they also need edge. Temptation to take the first safety off the ball. Let Todd Bowles get his hands on him, mold him, take those physical tools and make him the best edge rusher in the class. That isn't Abdul Carr. Nice to dream. Yeah, we'll go Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M to the Bucks.
Nice.
I wasn't expecting that.
I think this is what it might play out like on draft night, though, because I just think there is that the gap between these players at this point is just so. I think you might see more of the projecty style players like Shamar Stewart go maybe a bit earlier than you thought, because teams willing to take a chance on them, because I think the drop off isn't that much if it it's worth the risk for a good team like the Bucks as well.
Yeah.
In terms of just how solid and consistent they've been, he could be a real game changer for them if they do get it right.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process as well. Yeah. Like, it is a low floor, but yeah, I think they were all situated to do it. Whereas, someone like New Orleans taking him at 9 would be like, if he fails, they can't afford to fail.
Excellent.
It's Broncos. Joe, Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it's me next. So I was thinking where I want to go here. Again, a lot of people have Marion Hampton going here, who I don't think wasn't on our fans draft clock. Obviously, there's some wide receivers available. But I think he's just best offensive. And I think I said this in the bets, and I know they've just signed one in free agency, but I think he could be special. I'm going to go Loveland to the Broncos. Get him instead of the Chargers stealing from a division rival. Play plenty of 2 tight end sets and just getting a player for the future. I think Byron mentioned that he likes it was you, Byron, who said you like Loveland over Warren. So
yeah.
Why not get the best? 1 or 2. It feels like that's a gap, and there's a 3 and a 4 who's fairly close, but I think they're clearly number 1 and 2, and I think he's the traditional, and I think he could. Sean Payne could do a lot with him to just get the best player on offense in terms of playmakers, because I think he's better than the wide receivers and the running backs in terms of your ranking. So yeah.
Just to confirm, you have peeved off the Chargers GM as well, which I think was kind of your intended effect. So well done. Already had this name wrote on a card.
Excellent. Good stuff. Me next to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll ask you two before I'm a bit. What's the biggest question currently facing the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Quarterback.
Who is going to play quarterback? Because it sure as hell ain't going to be Mason Rudolph. Put Shadir Sanders into the Pittsburgh Steelers. No sign on what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. Get Shadir over to Pittsburgh. I think that's the best spot for him. With Tomlin, they've traded for DK. What maybe Pickens is a trade candidate over the draft weekend. You've got a real solid tight end in Freiermuth. They've invested in the O-line recently as well. And they're hopefully, they've got a good defense for 15 games. And then it kind of falls back. But that's the kind of setup Shadir, I think, would do really well in. They're not going to ask him to do lots to begin with, I don't think. And if they protect him, give him time, get a good run game. I'm expecting a relatively high draft pick to be spent on a running back for Pittsburgh after Najee Harris has gone as well, to pair with Warren. I think that's the perfect landing spot for him.
I do like that. I'll do a sneak peek of what my individual mock draft. I can see the Browns jumping up. Get both Colorado guys, retire the jerseys after 1 year. Bish bash bosh, Cleveland Brown does it again.
Does that include Deion Sanders becoming the head coach in 2026 as well?
Exactly, yeah. There you go. Predicting the future. That's my big shout right now.
I love this fit, and Pittsburgh just need it. They absolutely need it. So, yeah.
With that, it's just a Kenny Pickett point too, that you just draft a quarterback in the low 20s and then he's playing for the Cleveland Browns in 3 or 4 years.
But what do you do? Because what do the Steelers do? Because they're just going to keep going round in the circles. You might as well take the shot. Like you just.
I think Rodgers is still going there. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Well, if that's the case, sit Shadir behind Aaron Rodgers for a year.
Oh yeah, that'll go down well.
McAfee's going to be great next season. They'll get Deion Sanders on one side, Aaron Rodgers on the other. It's going to be Jerry fucking Springer.
Yeah, I don't think that's the best way of doing it. But I think at this point, obviously, the Steelers either know they're going to get Rodgers, or that stuff.
I said this on our first show post Super Bowl. I think Rodgers is retiring. I've stuck with it all free agency. I don't think anybody wants him. I think if anybody seriously wanted him, he'd be on a franchise by now. He loves dragging it out because he is Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he's got a fit in the NFL. He's old. He's a distraction. He's a pest. I loved how the Jets treated him, bringing him in for a 30-second call that he had to pay for by himself to fly in. Yeah. And Aaron Glenn just went, "Are you sure you're playing football?" And he was like, "Yeah." It was like, "Okay, we have different plans." Aaron Glenn went right up my coaching hierarchy when he did that. So, yeah. But this isn't the Aaron Rodgers show. So, you know, the time is ticking on the Chargers, which is me. And I see we have a big, fat Michigan man there, Kenneth Grant. I know Harbaugh is banging my door down to bring him in. And I say, no, we're bringing in a state champion. We're bringing in Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver 1. That's not Travis Hunter in the class. We need a wide receiver. We do need the alignment as well, but Egbuka is special. Harbaugh will love him. He kicks ass. He catches everything. He's open when you want him to. Justin Herbert just got his wide receiver 2, and unfortunately we couldn't get Colson Loveland because Denver are trolls. But yeah, Justin Herbert is going to be delighted with this. And we'll get rid of Greg Roman next year. And we'll have a real OC. Which brings us to the Green Bay Packers, Joe.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to draft someone who wasn't on a mock draft. So I'm just quickly trying to get the logo of the college team. And to be honest, it's a fucking great logo. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go cornerback. I think they need. It was in between cornerback, edge, or like on the line. I think they need to boost it because I think there's no true number 1 wide receivers. So I think it'd just be a same if they go that way. So, and I think J. Alexander might be a trade candidate. And I'm gonna go Revel Jr. Revel Jr. as the 3rd quarterback off the board. Like I said, they have a great logo.
Yeah, East Carolina.
Oh yeah. The East Carolina Pirates.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first player.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Any opinion on that, Paul? No, you're out of 3 of us. You're the draft.
Well, the logo.
Well, not the logo itself. The player pair.
I can talk about the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, there's much for much, but I think in some of the other corners maybe I'd have taken for who had gone Hunter, Byron, Johnson. I think maybe Amos, Morrison, maybe Hairston, maybe above Ravel, but I don't think the gap's too big to be fair. So, but yeah, need for the Packers for sure. So I think slotting one of those guys there is a good fit and a good addresses a big need for them.
Yeah, big size player, 6'3", 4.4. So
can help. Like so there's a lot of in that. Think of the division. The receivers pretty physical. Having some size and length is can help. Yeah, I think coming off an injury, isn't he? I think he tore his ACL. I think he's got 1 year as a starter. I think so. That as well, where the others have a bit more on him. But look, Packers do draft well. Could be a good shout. Vikings are in a pretty tricky position. They have 4 picks in the draft, don't they? So they've got to get it right. Probably secondary needed for them, especially cornerback. Could maybe get some more O-line help. They've got a really old safety who's been a great one, Harrison Smith. But how long has he got at 36? Malachi Starks to the Vikings, and maybe the baton can be handed over. Malachi Starks for me to the Vikings.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think for me, the Vikings are the team to probably trade out the first round. But I think if Starks is there, then they wouldn't. I think that solves a big need. I think if he goes early and there's not them players, I think they're a candidate to drop where a team might come up for certain players. But yeah, I would be very happy if I was a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I just think, like I say, they're so. With all having 4 picks, they're in a real tricky spot, and I agree with you. I think they're a big candidate to trade out the first round and maybe just try and get a couple of extra picks, mid-round or late-round picks, just to try and help get them some more youth in the building. But yeah, Starks to the Vikings in this scenario for me. We're on to the Texans, and that is yourself, Byron.
Yeah, sniped myself with Igbuka. I think he's a great fit for the Texans if he's available, but the handsome Chargers GM took him already. So we're banged there.
It's not said often enough, that.
No, it isn't. No, you don't hear that much on draft night, do you? But what we did hear on our Fans on the Clock draft, a pick I loved, actually, the more I looked into it, was Tyler Booker to the Texans. Just a real ass kicker. Might not be the most fluid athlete. Might not be able to do everything you'd like as a pulling guard, but in terms of just line up, kick your ass, set a tempo, be a leader, be a culture changer in that offensive line room, which is, I think, again, what might be their biggest off-season requirement, biggest thing they would like to do this off-season. Yeah, I'm going to go Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama for the Texans at 25.
Excellent. Yeah, I like this one. We spoke kind of in detail about the leadership traits that Tyler Booker has. I think that Texans O-line need it. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good shout. Joe, LA Rams for you, picking for a rival.
Yeah, I could go quite a lot of different. Like, they could go offensive line. There's still some interesting prospects there. Defense, there was love a good corner, so Hairston or even Amos, which we've just spoke about. But I think it's going to be 2 in a row here. I think I might agree with the Fans on the Clock. I'll be surprised if he reaches this far. I've got a feeling that someone's going to take a swing on him earlier. But I think if he's available, why not get Matthew Golden? I think he has a potential of being at like a top end number 2. And obviously you've already got Puka Nacua, so you don't need him to, do anything extraordinary. I think, again, he's a player where the fit matters. And I think a team like the Rams with Sean McVay will get the best out of him and will be sat here being like, how did we let the Rams get this kind of player? Like I said, if he goes to a team who wants him to be a true number 1, I don't think that will work. But going to the Rams, where it's just like, you could sit behind that guy, learn from him, and do what you do with Matthew Stafford with them deep balls, I think it could be a recipe for disaster for a lot of teams in the NFL. And it helps them now, it feels like, where the Seahawks, the 49ers are on a rebuild, the Cardinals are on a constant rebuild from the mid-noughties. So why not strike gold now and push for that, win that division, and try and get further into the playoffs, because they will play the team will push the Eagles the most last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, excellent. We're not far away from coming back in this. It was a snow game, wasn't it? Yeah. Excellent. 26. 27, Ravens, back to me. I think the Ravens have obviously a very, very good team. Also have a lot of needs, more depth-based than any. You could argue that they could do with another edge rusher, some interior D-line help. Corner or safety would be good for them here as well. But I'm going to give them someone to shore up a guard position. This player's played all positions across the O-line. But predominantly played left tackle last year, but I'm expecting him to be kicked inside in the NFL. I'm going to give the Ravens Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I think this is a good fit just to give them some support. Probably end up playing left guard. For the Ravens if they were to take him. And I think, just to beef up that O-line a bit, give it, I've said, a bit of youth and some versatility as well, to be able to help them out in some pinches as well by playing different positions if needed. So, Gray Zabel for the Ravens.
Yeah, Brad Holmes not impressed, just got sniped on his versatile O-lineman. He was wanting to slot in here, there, and everywhere. It is me, right? Yeah. Detroit Lions. I don't speak for Joy if he's Brad Holmes. Not sure Brad Holmes wants me to speak for him anyway, truthfully. But yeah, with that out the window, we're going to go defense. A few players left that really appeal, but we're going to go Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College, edge. We still need that second edge player opposite Aiden Hutchinson. So, yeah, let's take the best on the board. Bit of everything. And no character concerns. Looking at James Pierce Jr. there.
Sorry, who have you gone for, Byron?
Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College.
Cool. Yeah, just give me a second. Just keep chatting about him.
Well, I led the team in sacks and tackles last year, earned all ACC honors. Very good RAS score. And again, he's another one who can just come in and hit the ground running. We had in our fans on the clock draft our edge rush, the sting period, as I think some people were calling it. We haven't quite had that here. Still some picks to go, though. But yeah, I think edges are going to be a edge, and I think all line are going to be a strong theme of the end of this round if teams aren't trading back up for a quarterback.
Yeah, especially as you know, Ezaraku, I think he seems to be going more around top 20 now as well in more recent mocks, which is interesting. So, sort of landing maybe with the Bucks or Bucks Seahawks. So that's interesting. But I think if he was here for 28 for the Lions, I think that's a great pickup. They need again just somebody to balance with Hutchinson, offer him something different as well, different type of rusher. Based on his size. So, yeah, I like Ezaraku and a good fit, I think, with the Lions and how that D-line goes to play. That helped, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
You ready to take command?
Also, another great college football logo as well.
Right.
What is the Boston College? What is that?
Eagles?
Yeah, is that an eagle, yeah? Nice.
Is.
What's the... Sorry, this really isn't part of the show. What are the North Dakota states?
I think it's a bison, I think.
All right, yeah. The green made me think it was a tortoise, but I thought, well, that's not really inspiring.
Is it bison? I think it is bisons.
Yeah, it's
North Dakota State bison, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, there's lots of places I can go for this Vikings Commanders team. Who's left on the board?
The plus 1,000 take a running back, famously mentioned on the betting show yesterday. So
yeah, I'll be surprised. I think they've got needs. I think they're a team which, haven't drafted well the last few years, so that's not helped them whatsoever in terms of, the future. They managed to get a lot of veterans in to plug gaps last year, but that's not always going to work, and especially on that defense. So it's a Dan Campbell's defense. So does he go line or does he go cornerback? That's what I'm just deciding. I'm going to say goes line. It feels like a line kind of guy, doesn't it? And why not? God, do I get the big guy? No, you know what? I'm going to go James Pierce Jr. I think he's worked with plenty of players who have not the greatest characters. So let's go with Pierce Jr. I was in between him and Kenneth Grant. I think just with what the Commanders have done and who they've lost the last few years, Sweat, Chase, a few of us, all that, they were supposed to be the next big thing, that line. Invested heavily in the draft and it just didn't quite work out. So they need to restock again and get an edge and take a flyer on Pierce Jones to see. Hopefully it works out in DC.
Excellent. On for the Bills at 30. Again, needs probably... Sorry?
I think that was Charlie offering his opinion, so you can ignore him.
Yeah.
There's lawnmowers outside.
I value his opinion greatly. For the Bills, needs again corner, D-line, a wide receiver could be fun for the Buffalo Bills here. I'm going to shore up the interior of the defensive line for the Buffalo Bills. Kenneth Grant, I also mentioned about potentially taking him earlier. I think this would be quite a drop if he went at 30 for Kenneth Grant. Where Harmon went before, didn't he? We'll see which one goes ahead. But yeah, I like Kenneth Grant. The Bills have got a few problems on the interior of the defensive line, I think. And edge rusher, I suppose, as well. But I think getting a bit younger on the inside of the D line would be a good move for the Buffalo Bills. Corner was a big consideration as well there, maybe Amos, but we'll take Grant as he's fallen.
Grant, that gives me my last pick. Well, that was your last pick, Joe, Paul. So it's my last pick with the Kansas City Chiefs. And annoyingly, I can't think where I heard this the other day, but it's going to bug me. But the motto is generally best available player. But with Kansas City at the end of the first round nowadays, it should just be best available tackle. Until you get one right, just keep taking tackles. So we're going to go Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, another national champion, and let him recover from his injury. Have the Jalen Moore hold down the fort until then, and then hopefully he's good to go mid-season, end of season, and his entire rookie contract, high upside. Kind of know what we're getting from him once he recovers from his injury. So, I think it's delighted that he's still there, truthfully, with the value you get at OT.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's one of them kind of players where I'll not be shocked if he goes earlier. Like,
definitely.
Someone's seen the potential and thought it's worth the gamble. Where it's like mid-round, and it's just like, oh, that's just throwing everyone's mock drafts out the window. Someone like the Bengals or something like that.
I would die laughing if the Bengals take him. Not that he's a bad player, not that he wouldn't be worth it, but you just took Mims last year at tackle, and the last thing you needed more offensive help. It's like people keep saying like Chase Brown's under threat early in the draft. It's like they might take someone day 3, but if they take a running back before the end of day 2, just fire the GM. Duke Tobin, I think it is in Cincinnati. But like, you can't take a running back that early on that roster, and you certainly shouldn't be taking a no tackle in the first round. But I wouldn't be stunned because it is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And Joe, that is you to finish us off with the Philadelphia Eagles. Can Howie do it again?
Possibly. Sorry. So, I was surprised in our fans club that they went O-line. I know they've got some players leaving soon, but I think they need to. Oh, no, they'll not go cornerback. I was thinking cornerback because I know they've lost some players that they managed to draft well, but I think they'll go defensive line. I think they'll stock up there and go for maybe a project play just to rotate, because that's what they do best. And I'm going to go Nick Scorton, edge to get to 32.
Nice.
He's that kind of player where we're like, oh, of course he's a great player. And with that defense, he'll not have to play all the time. Just like what they do best is rotate, and we'll be sat here when he's got plenty of sacks in the playoffs, being like, how does it again?
Absolutely.
Love it.
Any, I suppose, what shocks who's fallen out here for our draft here?
Yeah, well, I'll go through the players who didn't make it, who made it in the fans on the clock, but didn't on ours. So we've got Luther Burden the third, the wide receiver, and then the remaining 3 were near the end of the first round. So Landon Jackson, the edge, Trey Amos, the cornerback, and Josh Connolly, the OT. So I think it's fairly, I think them 4 players are end of first round, second round. There weren't really big surprises.
I think the one with the biggest range will be Nick Emmanwari. Because to a lot of people, he's still, well, as of yesterday, I haven't actually checked today, but it's still the favourite to be the first safety to go. Obviously, we had Malachi Starks, the only safety to go at 24 to the Vikings. And it feels like I see so often in these things, again, I still don't understand why Emmanwari is a big favourite. Bookies obviously know more than I do generally, so, I'll cede to their knowledge, but, and more to the point, the people who are placing better with them. But I see so often in these things, Emmanwari just falls out the first round, and Starks feels like he goes every single first round. So I'm not sure quite what I'm missing there, or what all these mock drafters or what the bookies are missing. There's obviously some disconnect between, I'm putting myself as an entire entity there, those 3 entities of not understanding something, because, the bookies don't misprice things for that long, that drastically. So they obviously think Emmanwari is going to go in the first round, certainly. For the purpose of this draft, I was tracking it along on my own mock draft sheet as well. I imported Dan Brugler's top however many players as my custom draft board. He has Emmanwari at 17. He also first round number players or players in the top 32. He also has a Marion Hampton, Luca Burden, and Josh Connolly are the only ones who didn't get drafted here. I said the other day I could see 3 running backs going in the top 32. I could also see 1. Like, there's none here where I'm like, oh goodness, why do you like? I could have taken a Marion Hampton instead of Igbokwe. I think the Chargers could do with a running back. I think they'd be more in the Travion Henderson camp with having Najee Harris already in place. I think that's a little bit of an overlap. I'd rather have Hampton, but I've already got Najee. So yeah, I don't think that's wild to not only have 1 running back. I kind of think there'll be more, but again, you look at the draft here, and I'm not seeing like, OMG, I can't believe that we let 9 picks go by and didn't take Omarion Hampton. It's just as the draft went.
Yeah, and I think of quite a few of the cornerbacks. I think there could be a few cornerbacks go in the proper draft if there's a run on them. So we've mentioned a few. Amos being one of them, and a few others where it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if we have 4 or 5 cornerbacks just because how it works out. So yeah, Hairston as well. And even Isaiah Thomas could sneak in, I think, if there's a run on them. So same with the edges as well. There might be a few edges which we haven't got on there, but actually get drafted just because scheme fit and what they think of them. There could be a few surprises that way.
Yeah, bit of a panic run maybe to 6 or 7 of them. Excellent, right? That's in the books. That's our mock draft in the books. Thanks for everyone that's kind of watched our live run on X. First time we've done it in a while. And YouTube, we'll be back. Thursday, we're going to do the live draft. So join us. Yeah, if you've liked this, how about we do it with the actual draft? Yeah, we're going to get some guests on, some reactions to their picks. We'll go for our betting competition. We've got our own mock draft competition between the 3 of us as well. Lots going on. If you've watched and you've come across us on Twitter and you're not following us across the pages, then please do. Yeah, at GTW_GTC, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X. You can subscribe to the pod on YouTube, set your notifications, subscribe and get your notifications, and subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or Podbean or Overcast, whichever one you choose to use. And yeah, thanks very much. And we will see you live on draft night.